Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Jason Janas, and his NDE was just last year. So I'm really excited about that because we rarely get someone who has had NDE is so fresh. Usually they're like decades ago, years ago, and so it's really amazing we can get them this fresh. And also, what I love personally about having Jason on today is that he found NDE TV by watching the other videos. And so I really love that because that's what I'm trying to do here is find people that haven't had a chance to tell their NDE. And he found us through this channel. And so I'm just so excited to have Jason.
Thank you.
So last year, you say April?
April 2nd of 2020, that is correct.
What happened?
It was the start of COVID, and we had a big work meeting, and to be honest with you, I didn't believe in it. But I'd say in March, I started feeling tired all the time. I had the taste of blood in my mouth all the time. But anyways, we'll fast forward to April 2nd, came home from work. I was tired, made dinner, sat down on the couch and started to eat. About 4 or 5 minutes into it, I began to cough up blood nonstop. It just wouldn't stop. I remember making a phone call, a frantic phone call. I don't know what to do. It happened to be my ex-wife at the time. She said, "What do you want?" And I tried to talk to her, and blood just kept coming out. And all I remember then was waking up in the emergency room on a
Because she's a nurse, right?
She's a nurse. She's a third shift nurse. And I guess I panicked. And she says, I don't remember the conversation. I don't remember much. I remember waking up with a tube in my mouth, just on a ventilator. And I began, to trying to process what's going on. And I just didn't feel myself. And, when you realize your life is ending, when you know it, you can feel it, I'm a spiritual person. I began to pray. I said, "God, please don't let me die, please." And I began to sob. I said, please don't let me die. I said, "I'm sorry for abandoning you. I love you, Lord." And I said, "I want to see my babies. I want to see my girls again, please. I'm sorry for my sins."
Is this why you're choking?
Yes, this is actually I think it was in the hospital. And I just felt life slipping away from me. And it's hard for somebody to understand that unless you're in that position where you're on the edge.
So your NDE was in the hospital, not at home. Okay.
Not at home. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And I remember it being a nice day just because I remember being above myself, like, wow, the TV, I'm like almost even with the TV, because the TV was up in the corner of the room, and over there, to my left-hand side was a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. So I was just praying to him and saying, please, and nothing happened, and I was like, this is how it's going to end. I was a bad person. I was a bad father, husband, every sin that you've committed, you were wrong.
Isn't that strange when you're about to die on a beautiful afternoon? I mean, it just seems wrong in some way.
What popped into my head is like, wow, what a beautiful day. And I'm dying. And this is how it ends. And, I said, "Lord, I accept you. Lord, Father, and nothing happened. But then there's a person on this earth, female, that I'll just use her name as Amber, that I love more than anything. And when I was explaining in detail my love for her and everything, and I said, please don't take her from me, please. It happened. I was instantly engulfed, and all I can say was like the warmth of the sun. And I felt myself like I was standing up, and I instantly quit sobbing. But this warmth engulfed me like I was placed in the middle of the sun, and it was unconditional love. I mean, unconditional love on a scale that is just, you can't describe from this point of view. And like I said, I felt myself above where I was, because I remember just looking at the TV and the beauty of the outside, and just this overwhelming sense of love and acceptance, like I was home, a home that I have been to for thousands of years. I wasn't scared, and there was no more pain, no more pain. I was young. I felt youthful and just loved. That's all I can really say. It was beautiful. I didn't get to see anything. It was all, I guess, in the very first stages of it. You know, I've heard other near death and where they actually do get to go or whatever. But in that, like I said, there was no sense of time. I don't know how long this lasted, but all I remember then was two hands. Now, mind you, there was nobody in the room, because I could see there was nobody in the room, and these two hands with such love and tenderness pushed me back into my body. And that was it. The nurse woke me up. Again, how long, you know, and I was confused. I was like, what really happened? And after watching your videos, I realized that I was with the Lord. He had come to me, or I was in that plane, and, you know, he answered my prayer. My sins were forgiven. I was entered into what I would call the beginning stages of heaven, and that he had a greater purpose for me to be here. And it's been hard for me to deal with, because of all the billions of people on the earth, maybe 1% of us have got to transition into the afterlife, into heaven, and to be accepted. And that's a heavy burden to bear, you know, and I feel like he's pushing me to say, I want you to talk about me. Tell people what you experience and my love for you, which is unconditional, you know. And it's like I said, it's very hard for me to talk about. You know, I hear other people's stories and I go, how courageous for them to say stuff like this, because who's going to believe them? You're nuts. Or, you know, you were on the drugs, or, well, there's no drugs.
I think we all go through that.
And it was, you know, I'm still having troubles letting go of the guilt, because from a young boy, about age 9, I said, I don't need this church. I don't need this. It's no. I never stopped believing, but, you know, the message that he gave me was like, I want your heart. Believe me. Give me your heart. Love me like I love you. And like I said, it has profoundly changed my life. I'm being pushed now. I'm here with you to talk about it, because this may change somebody's life. This may say, you know, wow, okay, you know, and if anybody else that had it, I'm not crazy. He's telling me the exact same things that I felt, you know, and I wasn't taken as far because maybe I didn't need to go that far. Maybe this was just his way of saying, you're forgiven. I'm here. I love you. You know, I need you to talk about me. Tell people about me, you know, because he hasn't come back. But when you cross that spiritual realm, he's allowed to have that interaction with you, and he's allowed to be with you and love you. And like I said, for all of us that have that experience, it's life-changing. I mean, that's all I can really say is that's what happened to me. You know, I just remember being pushed back into my body, like, you know, and he was gone, but his love is still with me.
As you were talking there, I kept hearing in my heart, time's a wasting, like start telling, start talking, time's a wasting.
and it's been ongoing for the last year. It's just like, it's been eating at me like I need you to talk. I need you to spread this. And it's not easy to do. When Christ started talking about himself, 1,000 years ago, he was spit on, he was ridiculed, he was, whatever. But, it was, I'm here, give me your heart, give me your soul. And, you will have, eternity with me. And you will.
I heard a verse the other day, stuck with me. It said, they hated me before they hated you. A quote from Jesus. And I think that's beautiful.
It is. And I ran across a verse from Matthew. It says, I forgot what verse it was, but it says, verily I say upon you, this generation shall not pass till all things be fulfilled. And I was digging into that, and I was like, that's powerful. And I said, what generation is that? Because he wasn't talking about his generation, and I feel that we are living in that generation, that time is coming. And for all those that don't believe, for all those who are skeptical, when that first trumpet sounds, it's too late. It's too late.
Here, I'm just feeling in my heart, time is coming soon.
It is. And when I tell people that, and they look at me like, you talking about it? I said, it's like, you ever plug you ever zap yourself with electricity, like stick your finger in a socket, you feel that surge of electricity. It's like I'm plugged into him now. I'll be walking or I'll be at work and I'm sobbing because I feel him. He's here, and it's like, it gets hard to breathe. And I get very emotional. I'll go hide in a corner, not because I'm ashamed, but because it's overwhelming. And when that verse came up, Matthew, it became very real that, as you said, our time here is almost over. We are we are not the generation that will not pass, but we are living among them. And our time here is extremely limited right now. And, when I talk to other people, they said, I feel the same way. And I said, so,
I'm freezing cold and chills right now.
Me too. My feet are like, I just got the hair standing up on my body.
Mine is too.
And I tell people now, I said, believe in him, because when that first trumpet sounds, you don't have any more chances. And as I'm 51, and I never thought that I would get a glimpse into heaven. He doesn't give us or give those that many a glimpse.
A chance.
And it's his way of a chance to say, and to pass the word and say, I'm still here. I guess it's his way of still being on the earth through us, to talk about him, to say, he's real. I'm real. I was here. Yes, it may have been over 1,000 years ago, but I am still here. And I call it a curse, but blessed with his love, which is undeniable and unconditional. It's not of this world. When you listen to him talk, love one another as I love you. Nobody understands that more than those that have experienced it literally firsthand. And it's overwhelming love, and
it's humbling.
It's very humbling, and I didn't think I've been watching the series, The Chosen. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm familiar.
And how he picks out his disciples, he picks them. I feel like I was chosen, like, he knew my time was coming and he was there for me. He did not abandon me. And that's where my guilt comes in. It's bone crushing at times because, I told him for over 30 years, I need to talk to you, but he never gave up. He never gave up. Our Father.
He didn't pick the
He
rich
just-
and famous, you know. We don't have to be
I'm-
worthy.
No, I'm just some guy on the outskirts of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that is now over 50. And he said, you, sir, I want you to talk about me. Tell everyone, just talk about me. Tell them, because that one person, you may talk to 500 people, but that one that was affected may turn to him and say, I'm here, I'm sorry,
And it might be the one that was rolling their eyes when you were telling it.
right. Like my friend wants me to go to prisons now, and he wants me to talk to the inmates. And he says, Jason, he says, did you ever think that you were saved instead of taken when you were clearly dying so you could do this? And I said, I didn't think that I would ever become a spokesperson for the Lord and for
You
our
might
Father.
talk to Howard Storm. He's done that. He's went to the
Yeah.
prison and talked to the inmates with a group of people.
And so that's what I'm going to be doing, probably starting next month sometime. And he says, there's going to be people there that just want out of their cell. There's going to be people that just want to see their buddy. And he says, but the majority of them are truly going to listen to you because they want to be there. They want to know that there's some form of hope. And he says, you've been there. And he says, you may change one person's life. You may never know it. It may affect them, for generations, that they're going to tell their children, they're going to tell their wife. This man was here today, and he was in heaven, and I believe him.
And even if we don't affect anyone, we tried.
And that's all we can do. And I feel like ever since that has happened to me, he's been pushing me. He's like, come on, and because I'll be sitting here and it'll just eat at me. Like, when I was watching your videos, and I came back a couple days later, and I was like, I had an NDE, and that was hard for me to put out there because, you're being vulnerable, because there's going to be people that, look at you and whatever, but then there's going to be the ones like you who truly believe that, yeah, that did happen. That did happen to her or him or whatever. And it may change somebody's life. And if that's what the Father and the Lord want me to do, then I won't deny them.
What's strange is I don't talk about it very much. I've talked about it a few times, but when I was first in the bright white light when I was 25, before I saw anyone or had any communication, I was just there in this bright white light after the tunnel. And I thought, so it's real. The whole Bible, Jesus, God, it's real. Because I was somewhere else. It's just maggot meat in a coffin, not knowing anything, I was somewhere. I was still me. And I thought, it is real. All that was real. I mean, I went to Sunday school and I went to church, but you believe when you come back, but still in that light, I was thinking, it's real. And I was thinking to myself, I was thinking, God, just like we would here, thank God, something, or just go conversation with herself. Said, God, you need to send people back to tell them it's real because they don't know it. There's no proof. They have the Bible and that's it. And that was just so long ago. And people really don't believe it. If somebody was here and could go back, I remember thinking that before everything else went on started, just little thought. And then the last thing I said in the bright white light was, who else will teach them about you? I was referring to my sons.
Right.
And then, all these years later, and then sit here talking to you and listen to what you're saying, it just feels like everything is coming together.
It does for some reason. And, I guess, and I want to ask you this question is, when you were I never got that far. I mean, because the Lord physically, he said, you got what you need. I gave you what you need, and you're going to get what you asked for. You're going to live. And, but I felt this overwhelming sense of I was home, that, and it still baffles me, like how comfortable I was at peace, at being home. And even though, like I said, I never got as far as you did, I think if I wouldn't have been begging to please stay, let me stay, that I would have transitioned into the light and into people that I've seen and known. But like somebody said, they just had he has different plans for you, you know.
Well, I beg to go back.
See that, you know, I wasn't meant to see that, you know. What he gave me what I needed, you know, and at that moment, and I'm forever grateful because it has humbled me. It has brought me back to my roots as a little boy of going through CCD and, you know, catechism and the Eucharist and being, you know, all of that. And now he's like telling me to teach. You know, I don't know if this is actually teaching or just, you know, retelling a story, but to some, it may be teach. It may say, I need to read the Bible. I need to go to church, you know. And another thing that was given to me is like, people talk about religion, you know, religion divides. Christ wants us to give him our heart and our mind, give it to him completely. Believe me, love me. That's all he wants. He doesn't care whether you go into your bathroom and shut the door. He doesn't care whether you go into your bedroom and shut the door. Give yourself wholly, fully to him. You know, if you don't go to church, doesn't matter.
And after all the commandments, what's he say? Above all else, love one another.
Love one another as I love you. And do you know how hard that is to look out when you go grocery? He loves everyone in there just as much as he loves you and I. Now, will they all make it to heaven? No, because unfortunately on this planet, there are just nasty, evil, mean people.
Yeah, I see him in the comments on this channel a lot. Mean, nasty people. Tell me to shut up. It's my show.
Right, you know, so and those again are people that don't believe. Now, will he give those people a chance? That is not for me to say, you know, but you know, we are to love him and we are to love our Father. And the only way to see our Father is through Jesus Christ. And the third thing is we are to admit our sins every day. Our ancestors, well, they messed it up for us. And we are sinners. Every day we sin. And we have to acknowledge those sins. When I was dying, I told them I was a sinner. I said, I am truly sorry for everything that I've said and done. I said, you know, please. And
now, what did you see?
And that's the thing. It's like I didn't get to see anything. I just remember being, I guess it was in the very beginning, you know, when people say they remember leaving their body or whatever. I remember instantly feeling some sort of disconnection with myself in a way, but that I was higher than where I was in the bed. But I just remember looking out to my left, like seeing the light over there, you know, what a beautiful day, but I wasn't scared anymore. You know, I was at peace. And like I said, I was in the sun, but it was just unconditional love and a warmth that I was at peace. And like I said, I was at home.
What do you mean you say I was in the sun? I mean, what did that look like?
It was, to me, it was just like, when I'm saying the warmth and the love, it was like I was, you know, when you step out on a hot day, you feel the sun, right? Well, that's what this unconditional love felt like. It enveloped every aspect of me. And it was warm, it was loving, it was tender, and it was just unconditional acceptance.
Was you in white? Was you in just light or what?
No, it was like I was still in the hospital room, but I was above myself. So I didn't go as far as you.
You levitated, like in your soul.
Right. So,
okay. Gotcha.
And when I say and I was like, well, who? You know, it was the Lord. You know, he was there. But then, like I said, it was as clear as day. These two hands, I mean, with such love and tenderness. You know, I felt them on my chest, and then, you know, I was physically pushed or put back into my body.
Okay, like you were where I was when I drowned when I was 5. I went up and hovered over the pond. I stayed there for a while. It sounds like that's what you did. You went up above your body and just kind of stayed there.
Yeah. I mean, because I don't, like I said, you know, those that transition or see the light or go, you know, further, I think they need, or they need more guidance, where I wasn't meant to see that because I'll never know.
Might
You
be
know,
a level of how dead you were too.
it could be, you know, it could be. I don't know. You know, all I know is what had happened to me. And I remember the nurse coming in after this whole thing had, after she'd woke me up, I was looking around the room like, you know, like that. And she goes, I tried to wake you up for 45 minutes. She goes, I could not get you to wake up, you know, and she goes, you were that asleep. And I was like, instantly when I was pushed back into my body, that was it. I just remember closing my eyes and like I said, I woke up in kind of a panic, like, you know, where did he go? You know, um, I don't, I live with it every day. I relive it every day, you know, like it happened. And it's hard to take sometimes because you just like want to move on, but he's telling you, no, this is you. I need you to talk about it. And it's just, you know, it's the snowball. You need to talk, you need to talk. And, you know, and finally I contacted you, and it's like, well, it's not the greater. Well, you didn't see nothing. You didn't go to heaven. You didn't see this, or you didn't see that. I said, no, but
Doesn't matter.
I was in the spiritual realm where I wasn't in my body anymore, you know, and I know who I was with, you know, and I guess, like I said, I mean, when people say, well, you know, they go into like the white light, and I didn't have that opportunity, you know.
Mine seemed like a little glib, the 25-year-old NDE. It seemed like just this little clip. And then I started, when I go to bed at night, and I would close my eyes and relax and have myself see things very visual. And what else do you see? I'd calm down, relax. Because when I would mention my NDE to my husband, I was so like this, because I couldn't believe how it sounded. I couldn't believe this actually happened. It was a shock. And so I learned to just get alone and close my eyes. What else do you see? You know, what else? And so it gradually started all coming to me. And once it came, it never left. Where the drowning, it showed up in this night sky, and it's like this movie theater thing. And I was just so shocked. I seen the whole drowning front to back. But then later on, about the same time, okay, now the drowning, what else do you see? And little things that I thought, that don't even make sense. I wouldn't even discuss it when I tried telling it. Later on, I started slowing it down too. So you might try that. I don't meditate. Some people meditate, but I suppose it's like that, or it's kind of like that place where you go when you pray, just kind of that stillness, and just be open to the truth, and you know, focus on what you did see and what you did feel, and relax, and then it starts opening up and coming. At least it was for me, because fear was blocking mine. The fear of it. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't want to be this crazy person. And then okay, this is true. I believe myself. So relax. And that's what I had to do.
I did when I got home from, I was in the ICU for a month. When I got home, I was very weak. So I did a lot of processing, like,
Yeah.
did that, you know, that happen? It's like, why did that happen to me? It was like, it was kind of like you listen to plane crash survivors, and like they were the only one, and they have that guilt of like, why am I the only one left alive? Why did everybody, you know? And it was kind of like that. Why was I given? And it truly is a gift. It is a gift from our Lord that he wants you to talk about it. And we have doctors that, you know, didn't believe it because they believe in medicine. And they're saying, you know, I didn't believe, and you know, I drowned for 30 minutes, and this is real, you know. And I have that same guilt. I have that same thing when I lay in bed, but you know, and I go to bed at night, I just, I think about it and I'm there again, and I can feel it, and I feel it in me now. And that's what gets me emotional, and I think about is like, if people could truly understand the love that when you transition, I mean, as you know, death is peaceful. When you're in that stage, it's a peaceful transition, and people,
It is, but we're not always like you.
right.
You want to come back. Me, I wanted
Yeah.
to come back. It is peaceful, but that doesn't mean we are.
Right.
Because I threw a fit.
Yeah. Right. The actual dying process, where in what people don't understand is when you go to heaven or you go to hell, you're being judged as you're dying, which people don't understand. If you transition and you go to heaven, you've been judged worthy of being godly and being with the Lord and our Father. And those that weren't, that will, when that transition is there, they're in hell. I've read both stories, and it's an instantaneous thing. So you are judged while you're dying, which people don't understand. You do have a life review from what I understand. And it's not, well, you did this wrong and you did. No, it's a life review of how much you loved people. What was the love impact that you had on people on this earth? And I feel that doing this will show, that to others. Have love, have empathy. That's what this world is in desperate need of right now, desperately. And, I do have a new sense of love for everyone. I don't go out there and judge or criticize like I used to. Everyone, well, that's ugly, or, no, if you see somebody broke down on the side of the road, are you okay? Do you need help? Is there something I can do for you? And just be real, and one thing, with the biggest thing that I was left with, and it haunts me, is why we're here. You and I and our kids and our whatever, the human race, we are here for one thing. It's not to build mansions or big boats or fly airplanes. We are here to love. We are here to love one another, and I was left with that. And I was just amazed at my newfound love for myself, because people would say, well, you're awesome, or, I love you. I'm just a man. No, I'm not. And I don't think I truly loved myself the way you're supposed to love yourself. When you wake up in the morning, to be happy to be you, to be grateful, and just to love yourself. And I think a lot of people don't truly do that. And that's one thing that I was truly left with, of how worthy I am, how loved I am, just by others, by the Lord, but to love yourself.
I see a lot of people loving themselves in a physical way, in a materialistic way. I love my house, I love my car, I love my career, I love bank account.
No,
you love your beauty. I know, but and they don't understand that's not where it's at. When you cross over, you'll feel your soul. And when we come back, we had felt our soul. Now we come back and we're so connected to ourselves.
It's unreal how connected I am, and how real it has become for me, just to see myself. Because, when we were in that process, God doesn't see us like you and I are seeing each other right now. And neither does the Lord. He sees what he created. When he breathed life into your mother's womb, he sees your spirit. He sees how beautiful and bright it is. Those that are worthy, that love and love Christ, and that's how he sees us. And that's how I've begun to see myself, how worthy I am, and how much I truly love myself now, where if somebody gives me a compliment, hey, I love you. You know what? Okay, I love you too, or, you're a nice man, or you're a godly man. Did you know that? And I said, that just recently happened because, I was shown, even though it wasn't physically, I could see Christ standing before me. He was in my presence. If I was meant to see him, he would have let me see him. but apparently I didn't need to. So, but the love that I felt from him and his, how many people on earth can raise their hand and say, Christ touched me, other than 2,000 years ago? Very few. I would probably say less than 1%. And I can say that I was one of them. And I am truly blessed, and I will take every day as a blessing. And I know I will see the kingdom of heaven again when he is ready for me. But you're right, you're not to be vain. Look at me, I've got 5 cars. Look, I've got 4 mansions. I've got all these beautiful, look at me. No, that's the quickest way that you'll go the other way, but if you truly love yourself, love your spirit, love who you are, that's what he wants.
And I wish they would teach this to kids in school, like teenage years, when they're falling in love, stop and think, why does this person love me? Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, he's a, football player, because, we all at teenage years, early adulthood, we all get these really bad relationships for the wrong reasons because we haven't learned, who we are yet. I mean, I'm sure I'm getting off topic, but just as you're talking, I'm thinking, how I'm 60, it's taken me this long to know who I am. And I have teenage grandchildren, and I'm seeing them at that age where they're getting into materialistic, they're getting into judging everybody how they look. And I'm like, what can we do about this? I was there too, but we don't do anything to help them. We've got to be old until, or have a near-death experience, because you're not old, I can tell. But,
I'm
we've
51, I'm old.
Are you? I thought you were like, I don't know, 30s.
No.
The gray
I'm
beard
51.
kind of gives it away now that I look at it. But it was looking dark. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if it weren't for the gray, I'm saying that ain't right, is it? My husband's the same way. He's like you. He's got this baby face and he's got this gray beard. It's like, I'm not coloring it, but that really gives it away. But otherwise,
No, it's all right. But no, I think
I don't give mine away. I color.
I used to, and somebody said, it happened to be the woman that I love, she said, stop. She goes, it's just be, she's always, I just want you to be you, and you don't realize how we're not ourselves because we're always trying to impress, or we're always trying to, make someone like you, or, be good at your job and impress. And when you really strip all of that crap away, just be yourself, because that's all he wants. Be you. Give me yourself. And this world is materialistic, and we're all caught up. And my point is we need to teach this at home. It begins with us, the elders. We teach our children how to be good, sane, sober, moral people, right? And then once they reach that adulthood, and when I went to a seminar where somebody was talking, he said, did you know that your teenagers need you more now as a good parent than they did when they were newborns? And I'm like, she said, your brain is splitting, you're growing, these hormones are engulfing their bodies, and they need more of your guidance and strictness now than when they were infants.
Especially in these
and
times.
I was like, wow. I didn't really think about that, because, you can talk, you can eat, you can go to the bathroom and shout, but no, their emotions, like you said, falling in love for the first time, everything is like them being, completely drunk and driving a car 100 miles down the road, swerving all over. They don't know what they're doing. You and I didn't know what we were doing. We were just, stumbling along, you fall down, bust your face, you get up, but as spiritual people, we need to guide our youth into more relevance, where talk to God, give him your troubles and worries, because if you're a believer, he will take care of them. He'll always give you what you need, but not what you want.
And Christians are under attack so much more than before. And I imagine what it's like for the teenagers to say, I'm a Christian, or people making fun of them. Because I know what happens when they go to university. Yeah. Universities totally try to change all of that and make people atheist.
I was just talking about to my buddy at work, he says, when Christ was here 2,000 years ago to now, how much has changed in almost 2,000 years compared to when he was alive? You know, Christianity didn't start until almost 40 years after his death. Christ was Jewish. Okay, he was a Jew. So that's why I don't like to talk about religion, because religion divides. Christ doesn't care. You know, the way I look at religion is, you know, the 18th century wagon wheel when they're crossing the plains, you know, you got all the spokes and they lead to that center circle. Those are all your different religions. Does he care? No. Are you in the middle? You know, do you believe in him? Do you believe in my son? You know, religion divides. Spirituality does not. You can talk to a Muslim, you can talk to a Buddhist, and you can all confer that God is real. Christ was real. And then when you have that spiritual connection, you don't have that divide or hate anymore. You know, and I think being a Christian, and like I said, so much has changed from the time of Christ till now, that certain things I think are out of date. It's like, why is not anybody allowed in the Vatican? Why can't they go into the archives? What don't you want me to see? Why is everybody denied? You have thousands of years of, you know, of history there. Why can't we see them? Why are you vehemently denied access to the Vatican archives? Why? You know, I mean, that just raises questions and doubts, but, you know, like I said, things have changed, you know, but the basic concept of Christianity hasn't. It's still as rigid as it was, you know, 1,000 years ago. And you're right, we are under persecution. You know, you're Christian, and part of when I was married to my ex, she hated Christians. You guys are sick. You know, you guys are this, that, and all your rules and this, and, you know, your sexual misconducts, you know, from priests and stuff like that. And I said, to me, being a Christian isn't about that. It's about the Lord to me. And it's about my God. And it's just how I was raised. And, you know, I don't know what else to say about it.
We took in a homeless boy. He was a senior in high school and he was in special education. So I wanted him to graduate high school, because, you know, a special ed student, they're not going to get a GED later.
No,
you know,
more likely not.
So I thought, you got to stay in school or you'll never have that high school diploma. And so we were helping him out, letting him stay here. And we had 10 girls here at home. And here's this, you know, senior boy. And so we had to keep an eye on things. So, you know, but so I was trying to help him. And he took me on the deck one day. Hold on, my cat. And he says, I want to tell you something. I'm atheist. And I don't like hearing you talk about this Christian stuff. And he says, I don't want to hear it anymore. I said, well, this is my house. This is my family. And I respect how you feel, but I just want you to consider one thing. I said, I'll respect, you know, how you feel. But I said, I want you to just remember one thing that I'm going to tell you right now. He said, okay. And I said, when you go out in the world and whenever you have a problem, watch and see who helps you. I said, my guess is going to be it's a Christian that offers you a place to stay, that offers you a meal, offers you the shirt off their back, offers to help your car, help you fix your car. Like you say, see somebody along the road and they help you. Not always.
Yep.
I said, but just keep track. Keep track. See who helps you. Is it going to be the atheist? Is it going to be somebody that hates God and goes around saying God ain't real and they hate God? You know, how do you hate somebody you don't think's real? But, you know, I said, just keep that in the back of your mind. So.
Some people, you know, like, faith is a hard thing because that's what you're doing. You're believing in something that you know, we are a people that need to see and touch, you know, to believe, you know, and Christ performing his miracles, he was doing it in front of people so they could see, you know, all we see now is our iPhones and our iPads and our computers, and we're caught up in this. And faith is, I think, in my opinion, has taken a turn. But for those that do believe, like you said, it's good to stand your ground and say, no, this is who I am and this is who we are. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. But, God will put people in your life for a reason. You just don't run across people by accident or by chance.
I think he puts a crisis in our life for a reason too.
He said, life's not going to be all, a bunch of roses all the time. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall down, you're going to bust your face.
But that's usually when we pray. When we fall, when we don't know what else to do, that's when we pray. You're choking. What do you say? Dear God, help me. When you're laying in a hospital and you just been told you may not make it, that's when you pray, And so if you survive it, you're going to be hopefully changed. Hopefully you're going to be humbled. Some people may push it away and go about their life. And that wasn't an NDE and people are crazy. I've heard atheists, some atheists have had NDEs, and when they come back, they say, well, it wasn't a place like you're describing that you call heaven, but I'm not saying it was heaven. And somebody was there talking to me, and they talked to me like what you're saying, but I'm not going to say that was God. But something is there, Yeah,
because they don't want to admit, that they were wrong, and that was one of the things that I told you, that a doctor had died and she didn't believe in heaven, because she was a doctor and it's all medical. Your brain is dying. It's firing random things. Okay. But to me, it's somehow, even as a little boy, my grandma instilled that God is our Father. He is real, and you just take that faith and you go with it. But I've read those experiences too with atheists, and some of them, have turned around and said, it has profoundly changed my life. I am no longer that person. It's like a snake, you shed the skin and you become something else. And I guess I've become more, I guess people call it now godly. You're such a godly person, that's a Jason, you talk freely about it, but only to those that want to listen, because those that want to demean you and put you down like you're an idiot or that didn't happen because or what, I will still talk about it only if they want to hear it. To those that just want to ridicule and criticize, I
don't know about you, but those people that the worst case scenario, what I thought would happen by coming out of the closet with my NDE is less than I thought. And it's not as bad as I thought.
Right. Because they're like the guy that wants me to go talk in the prisons. He's like, Jason, I've heard your story. He said, I can neither confirm nor deny. He says, but it's more than irony that, I know somebody else that, that had passed away or whatever and had gone through. He says, you don't know this person. You've never met him in your life. And he says, your story is exactly the same. And he says, how can that possibly be? He says, there's no way by chance that you just happen to nail a 1 in 100 billion chance of having almost identical stories, but in different ways. He says, no. And he says, so, he says, what you have to say is important. What you have, what people need to hear you. And I was just like, I'm telling you, man, he said, God saved you for a reason. He says, or he could have taken you and said, this is it, but he chose not to. He chose to tell you.
I think he knows who's going to tell. He's got to. He's God. He can see the future. Well, he knows who's going to tell.
Person is hand. He knows. He knows. Like I said, he knows who you are. He doesn't see us like us here. He sees what he created, that spirit. And I often wonder because I pray to him every day. I say, what do you need me to do? Why am I here? We're not meant to know what that is.
And you're just 1 year in.
Yeah. and things still come to me, and he's talking to me constantly, and I'm listening, and it's just like sometimes I get frustrated when, like, last night I got up and, what do you need? Where are you pushing me? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And he's probably laughing, or he's probably got a smile on his face. The Lord, same thing. Sometimes we're just not meant to know. We're just meant to, that gut feeling you have
Oh, yeah.
all the time. That conscious, like, he's talking to you constantly.
That's why I started this show.
And people refuse to listen to that because he's talking to you. And like I said, you don't run into those people by chance, that you build a good relationship with, or you have that one almost outstanding conversation, where you're still talking about it 20 years later. Why? It was meant to be. It was meant for that person to still be in your life, to still be interconnected. And I think one of the best things that I ran into, and I would have to look it up on my phone, but it was Isaiah. He said, when the Lord is good and ready, he'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like Christmas, you gotta wait.
You just gotta
wait.
That's right. When the things that you ask for and the things that you need, he'll give them to you. But when he's ready, when it's that time, I often wondered, why did I have to go through this experience? And this is one of the things that eats me up quite a bit. Is like, what did I have to do? Why did I have to go through that? Because when I got out, and I'll come back to where I am right now, is I went through financial ruin. I was in the middle of jobs, so I didn't have insurance. They repossessed my vehicle. They gave me eviction notices. I had to sell all my furniture so I could buy food, ramen noodles to eat. I had to learn how to walk again, how to talk, how to feed myself. I had to do it all by myself. So what was
the blood from? We didn't even get there, did we?
What they called it was, I died from acute respiratory failure hypoxia. So what had happened is my lungs began to fill up with blood. They found tumors. So I really don't think they know what COVID is. I really don't. I really don't. My doctor.
So they didn't call it COVID.
They didn't know. My death was from acute respiratory failure, and then in parentheses, hypoxia.
Respiratory failure.
But what the doctor said, he says, Jason, he says, I need you to understand something. He says, do you know how much blood we pumped out of your lungs? And I said, what? He says, 2.8 liters of blood. When you do the liters to cups conversion, it comes out to like 10 cups of blood. And one of the nurses was standing there, and she was like, how are you still here? How am I still here? And it goes back to, my death, but, I was pleading with him to please, I still have things to do. I love someone, and, so COVID had caused tumors in my lungs, and those tumors had ruptured, and they began to fill my lungs up with blood.
So you had COVID prior to this?
Every time they tested me, I never had COVID.
Okay.
So the doctor, when he released me, said, Jason, we tested you when they had the tube down my throat on the ventilator. They stuck the swab down there and tested my lungs. They stuck it up my nose. And said, Jason, you never tested positive. And they had me, from what I understand, on the infectious disease ward with other COVID patients. But I never had it. I never had it. So I don't drink. I can't say that. I very rarely drink. I don't smoke, and I don't do drugs. And I'm not around. I'm more of I like to be alone. I'm a loner, kind of, sort of, except for my 15-year-old daughter. We're around each other all the time. But other than that, I'm a guy that just keeps to himself. So he says, we have no explanation or reason why this has happened to you, except the only thing that they can say is that COVID caused this. Well, how could COVID cause it if I never had it? So, that leads me to believe that I was meant to go through this, that I was meant to get to that point of that out of body experience and be in the presence of the Lord for a reason. Because even now when I go in for checkups because they want to see me, Jason, you are completely healthy. They removed the tumors, the couple of tumors that were in there, but they're like, you're healthier than a 20-year-old.
NDEs are always healed.
You think about it. I mean, I still have my aches and pains. I still think I'm a, you know, I'm still this young punk at 18 when I wake up, and then I go to swing my legs out of bed and go, ooh, ooh. No, you're every bit of 51. But other than that, I'm in perfect health. Now, how do you explain that? I can't.
Light is healing, resets our genes, or God's not going to send back a sick person and expect them to work for him. Tell him. You're going to make sure we're healed.
Right. So, you know, he healed me, you know, and my daughter, my young one, like I said, her mom and I clash. You know, she says, you're basically my 15-year-old's not baptized. And so when they called her and said, you know, your dad's dying, he's in ICU, I want to see my dad. And they refused to let, you know, her see me because, you know, the COVID thing. So, you know, no one should die alone. And my daughter was fearful. And when I came back and I told her my experience, she was like,
I know that look.
you know, okay,
I've seen
Dad.
it.
And I, you know, right, you know, and it's just like, you know, she's like, okay, Dad. And I'm like, you don't understand, Angie, the love that God has. And I said, you are going to be baptized. And I said, I don't care what other people think. If you choose to change your title from being Catholic to Protestant, or I find the Jewish, you know, and I've gone to a couple Jewish masses several times, probably about 10 of them. And you know what? I enjoyed it. But again, you know, if you're there because you believe in Christ and you believe in God, then anything new in that aspect, you know, I'm educated. So I like learning things, and being in that type of mass, they welcomed me. They didn't say, ooh, you're Catholic, get the hell out of here. No, they were like, wow, welcome, come in, you know, Shabbat Shalom. So I was just like, you know, I was very welcomed. Where if you think, you know, if you were at a Catholic mass, you're Jewish? What are you doing in here? Get out. You know, the rigidness of religions is just, that's why I don't like to talk about it. You know, this is like, I am spiritual. Are you okay? You know, but I was telling my daughter, you don't understand what your father went through, where he was, you know, and everybody knows that in Catholicism or whatever, you know, if you're not baptized.
I don't think kids are old enough to, I don't think they can grasp it as NDEs.
No, they have no idea.
Even my boys just starting into their 40s, I really don't think they understand the gravity that I was sent back, because I love them so much and I want to protect them so much that I begged and pleaded through a fit. I got to raise my boys. I don't think they get that. I don't think they get, Mom really wasn't supposed to be here right now. You know, Mom could have died then. And our lives have been very different. I don't think they really get it.
Now, did you experience when you were in, you know, in the spiritual realm, you didn't think like that anymore? I knew, even though when I was begging, said, I want to see my daughters again. Once I reached that other plane, I would say the spiritual realm, that was gone. I no longer feared that. I somehow knew that, I guess I was caught up in the moment of being in the presence of the Lord, but also in the understanding that everything is fine. Your kids will be okay. You know, and all the people that love you, are they going to hurt? Are they going to, yeah, but you know, they'll be okay. And so all of that was like taken from me. And I was just at an unbelievable level of peace.
My drowning, it was taken from me when I would feel a strong emotion about something. I'd feel it real strongly, like I didn't as a
Yeah.
child, but I felt so strong, and then like washed away from me.
It was gone. Like,
But in the 25-year-old, I
no,
was to be reckoned with, a force to be reckoned with.
right, right. You know, in my
But they
younger
were
days,
unaffected. That's the thing, is like the panel behind, there's God, there's just the outline, but everybody's unaffected by my tantrum.
right? Yeah, because you
Do you mean,
know,
like if you start
it's
screaming at me right now, I'd be affected, and I'd love to be like that,
right,
like they are in heaven, like, so what,
and that, and that's part of our struggles here, and what we need to deal with. You know, as um, those that are given the glimpse of what lies ahead. You know, you can take that Valium, two or three of them, and you can just say, okay, you ride that bolt of electricity for a while. I'm okay. I know where I'm going.
Now
You
I
know,
felt
and
that in a drowning. I mean, I was flying down the highway, I was running around, yard with some kids, and I was doing this and that. I was perfectly fine. I accepted it pretty quickly. Oh, this is dead. Okay,
right,
I don't have to do this anymore. I can get, it was good. But when I had kids to raise, and I had been abused my whole life, and I was
right,
afraid my mom would get custody of my kids, or my ex, well, he drank too much, and his family was a big Catholic family, a lot of alcoholics, and his mom was mentally ill. She was in and out of mental institutions getting the shock treatments, and I mean, wonderful people. They just weren't perfect, and they weren't for my kids to be raised in. Me, they needed me.
right.
And I mean, I feel bad because I hear Mary Neal say, her kids don't understand. What, Mom, you didn't want to come back? And I'm thinking, she knew they were fine. Like you were saying, you knew everything was going to be fine. I'm
Mhm.
glad they didn't show me that everything was going to be fine. I already knew as a mother what was best for my children. Heaven wasn't going to tell me nothing was fine. Anyhow, if they had tried, which they didn't, it was just like, you don't run
Right,
things, we do. And I'm like, I want to go back. And I was
right,
told the answer was no. No. Oh,
right.
well, let me try
And
something
we
else.
don't run the show. That's the funny thing. You know, we are given a limited time. And when you think, well, this person reached 80, 90 years old, that's a long time. Oh, man. Like I said, it felt like when I was in there that I had been there before for a very long time. It's like, you broke a pair of shoes. So you go in the closet and you go get those old pair of sneakers, right? And you put them on. That's what it felt like. It was that kind of comfort that, you know, it felt good. It felt right. Yeah, these are a pair of shoes that I previously put on for 2 years. They feel comfortable, and that's the sense of security and comfort that was given me. Like, I've been here before. I came from here. And sometimes that's hard to deal with too. It's just like, now you come back to this. I got to get up, go to work. I've got to, do this. My body hurts. Where that was all taken away.
It's knowing what it feels like to not be of this earth, to not be of your body, of this brain, of all your responsibilities. Well, you take them on yourself, I suppose, with me, but it is knowing yourself completely. You're in that land of knowing, and you're still yourself. And when you come back, you don't think like you did over there, but we have these glimpses of it that nag
Yes,
at us. That, like,
very
that
much.
is the whole, and we are now at peace, and we
Yes,
yearn to be that whole again.
man. It's like somebody said, "Are you afraid to die?" I go, "No." I said that was the most beautiful thing that I had ever experienced in my life. I said, you watch your children come into this world and you cry and you love your children and stuff like that. I said, even that doesn't come close to the love that I experienced. And I said, there's just no words to describe it. I said, I love my baby girls, my youngest. And I said, there was nothing I wouldn't do for her. And the love that I have for her still isn't, you know, coming close to what I experienced.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, now that I know my kids, my grandkids, they're all fine. I mean, my kids are wonderful parents. I'm here now because of my husband. I got to take
right,
care of my husband, you know? And I had a little OBE in January. I got very sick and I passed out, and he found me falling off the toilet on the floor as he walked in the room. And there was this little out of body experience, maybe kind of like what you had, but only yours was more, because mine was just this little thing. And all it was is it was all dark. And I knew I was like, first thing I thought was, oh, I'm outside my body. I was just right outside of it, like right here. And it was all dark, but yet I could hear these voices, like it's all this laughter, people having a big party. I'm thinking, is that heaven? Because I never experienced anything like that, before my other NDEs. And I'm like, and I thought, is this my imagination that I'm putting a picture with what I hear?
Right.
Because it's like I see this sea of people in this big room, and we have a party, people keep their distance. But they weren't. They was all tight together. There was like they weren't keeping no distance between them. There's all tight. There's all laughing. And I was like, all these conversations and all these pictures of voices, like men and women. And I want to go there. I want to go. I want to see, but I don't want to stay. I just want to peek. And I could hear them talking. And it seemed like this one woman was closer to me than the rest in distance. And like she's talking to me. I'm like, I kept saying, what? What? And it's muffled. You know how it sounds when you're at a pool and you're underwater, and what it sounds like, everybody talking above? That's what it sounded like. And I'm like, and then I could hear my husband in the distance saying, baby, baby. But I was more interested, curious what they were saying. But then it got to a point, I just somehow knew, if your curiosity, like curiosity killed a cat, you go on, you're not coming back. And I needed to focus on my husband calling for me instead of that. I had to forget that. And then he got louder and louder, baby, baby. And he said my eyes was flickering, and he kept shaking me. And I wasn't coming to right away. And then I slowly come to. But so I went to the emergency room the next morning because I was too sick. He called the emergency room 2 nights in a row. And they said, we want a squad to come get her. And I was saying no, because I was afraid of COVID. I was afraid if I'm dying, I don't want to die without my husband with me. I'm going to die, I'm going to die home. Because, back then, and probably still, they don't let anybody come in the room. If it's COVID, you're going to die alone. You're going to be on a respirator, you're going to die alone.
My daughter
I was afraid
wanted
of
to
that.
come see me. Yeah, my daughter said, Dad, I wanted to come see you so many times. And they said no. So I was dying alone,
See, I don't want that.
Nobody do that. And I told my daughter, I said, next time, I said, if that happens, I will die in my bed. If I know it and I can feel it, I said, I will just lie down and, I will not. That was the most horrific experience I have ever had. And I feel so much sadness and pain for anybody that's in an ICU ward right now.
Or a car accident, alone on the highway without your family, anything where you're alone.
Anything where, you are dying alone, it's a horrible thing. But like I said, when you transition into that death phase where you are actively dying and your spirit is, it's beautiful. There's no pain. You should know that. There's no pain. There's just peacefulness, love. And it's the ones that are left behind that are sad and upset, and, because you don't think like that anymore. You're not a two-dimensional being anymore. Now you are a spiritual being. You're in, in a different dimension. And, people, oh, they're looking down on you. No, they're not looking down on you. They're in a different place. And you should be happy and grateful that this person, transitioned. But death is a hard thing for those that are left behind, where, you just don't get another chance to say, I love you. You don't get a chance to say, oh, I missed you, or sorry, I was mad at you last night. It's a permanent thing. It's gone.
I have a theory that whatever you personally experienced when you was on the other side, that'll be your gift over here. Like, it won't leave you. Like, if you had some feelings and knowings or telepathic communications, or you thought you were talking to God and he was talking to you, those will continue. It's like whatever you experience over there comes back. I mean,
it's like I've been plugged into like you plug in your phone to the wall. I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, it's a constant flood of emotions, constantly. I'm constantly talking to him, and it's just like, you know, it's pushing me in the right way, because my job said, you know, you need to be vaccinated or you're gone now, you know. I'm like, you know, so it's just like, you know, I give my worries to him, and somehow, you know, during the middle of the day, it's like, I know I'll be all right, you know.
For
and
me personally, they'll have to kill me. I'm not doing it.
I'm not getting a vaccination, no, you know, no. And some people say, well, why not? It's just a vaccination, you know. Well, why don't you read chapter 13 of Revelations and the number of the beast, you know, for all those that give false hope or believe in a false prophet and give, you know, no.
I've listened to a lot of doctors. I've read a lot. You know, I make my own decision. Everybody free to make their own. Some of my kids have got the shot. Everybody free to make their own decision. For me, they'll have to chase me through the woods. You hold me down, because I'm not.
No. Oh, I'm not going to either. And my 15-year-old is very adamant about it now. Dad, I will not. I will not. Nope. Good. Don't. You know. And we can get into this whole anti-vax, and which is not what this is about, but it is about me being plugged in now. And it's this constant conversation. It's like we're having, you know, when he's talking to me, I get very emotional, you know, when I feel him, you know, like when he's close, you know, like when I was taking a shower to come here, you know, I got very emotional, you know, as, you know, I love you, and I could feel it, just like, you know, and it's just, I get emotional. And it's like, if people would just listen to that, you know, because he's talking constantly, you just have to know how to listen. And most people don't, because they're wrapped up in this materialistic world and me. Trust me, it's not about you. You know, there's something greater out there, and it's like, you know, I've chosen to listen to that.
I can see you in a prison talking.
You know, and I'm not.
You know what I mean? Not as an inmate, but you know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
I can see that.
No, is he really wants me to, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. He says, you need to tell your story. He says, Jason, you know, you don't get to talk to many people, you know, the experience that you had, you know, you are a rare breed, a rare commodity. You know, you think of what, the 5 billion, 8 billion people on this planet, maybe 1 million of you have had those experiences, you know, where you've died. And he says, you spread those million, there's, you know, Chicago has 5 million people in it, you know, all of us could fit into the city of Chicago, but we're spread out all over the world. And when you look at that little pinprick, you know, that pin in the haystack, you know, he says, you need to talk. People need to hear this. You will affect somebody. He says, that I can promise you.
Because you heard his voice, had his conversation when he's on the other side, correct?
It was more of a, how do I want to say it? It was more of a, like, there was no conversation. It was all a feeling, and everything that he has given me has come after. You know what I'm saying? Like in my recovery, when I was recovering, and stuff like that, things would come to me, like they were given to me. And you need to do this, you know, you need, you know, these feelings came up of, you know, everything, I guess, you know, like the need to talk. You need to talk about me. These things were like, how, you know, what are we doing on this planet? Why are we here? Those kind of things. Just like, it was made very clear to me, you know, we are here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to love. We have no other mission than to love.
Well, I hope that someone hears that message. And thank you so much for your time. And it's been great.